Hello and welcome to Theology on Tap. My name is Andy and I started a video series on faith, Christian faith. What does it mean to be a Christian? The foundation of faith. Now, of course, this is the way I believe in it, and some of the things I say will be very familiar to you, and some things I say probably won't be. But I think it will be, if not interesting, it will be beneficial in the way we live our lives. So hopefully you will watch my videos. So the first point I made is that everybody's the same. It doesn't matter whether you have a belief in God or if you do not. Everybody's the same. So I was gonna go into my second point today, but I wanted to expand on that first point. Everybody is the same. How is that so today? Now, for believers of God, like Christianity, we seem to have a clear direction. Since God has directed us to a certain life, a pathway, if you will, we know which way we're going. In a secular perspective, not really. All right. There's no clear pathway. So everybody has a different things to follow. Because if you don't believe in God, you have to believe in something. You have to care for something. But they're both similar and in a way that we messed up. We're all guilty. We have all fallen short of the glory of God. Whether you believe in God or not, we messed up. That's the thing that both teaches. So it seems like whether you believe in God or not, there is a guilt that is being taught as well as fear. And those are the two words that I want to focus on today. Guilt, shame, and fear. Okay, three words. Guilt, shame, and fear about the future. So if you don't believe in God, you have to believe in something. So today, what it seems to me like is that non-believers really hold on to a different God, which I think is science today. And of course, there's different kind of science out there. There's political science, social science, medical science, a climate science, so many different ones. And in each science, we have our heroes. Whether you're an athlete, you're an actor, or if you're a famous person, rich person like Bill Gates. And then there's Fauci, who I think actually said, I am science. So in a way, what he's saying is, you better believe what I say. I know there's other scientists out there that may disagree with him, but no, we better follow him because he's the father of science. All right. And so even though there are different opinions, whoever has the most power seems to say everybody else is wrong, I am right. And that's the thing about science. If you look to the past, science has been wrong all the time. When I was growing up, eating eggs were not good, but now he said eating eggs are good, right? Lard was bad. Now some people are saying it's good. Gluten is bad. Or before it was good, now it's bad. I mean, we're always changing things. And what I noticed about the science or secular people is that they sure use a lot of guilt using political science or social science. And since we have wronged one another in the past, we have to get things right. So we came out with like social justice warriors, the ones who wants to make things right. Now, how do they do that? By making some people feel guilty, by punishment. There's a lot of shame involved. And we're always using that to, I guess, force people to change or for justice. And how do they do that? Basically, it's to cancel people, right? They just cancel them. You're wrong, done. And there's that dividing wall that people put up. Right? That's what happens when there's no God. You just create your own justice system, and whoever's in charge could just say, you're wrong, so we're going to have to punish you. You should feel guilty, shaming. For the sake of making things better, there's a lot of punishment, canceling people out. That happens all the time. Right? If you watch YouTube, there's a bunch of those videos talking about who's canceled today. All the heroes in the past, totally canceled today. And so we're judging people by today's standard, and they call that justice. Doesn't make that much sense, but I guess it makes people feel good because at least justice is being done. And they do it not by loving, accepting, they do it by canceling. All right. So, I mean, in any kind of science, it's the same. Let's look at climate science. It's the same thing. I mean, most of the times, people who study climate can't even tell us how hot or cold or it's going to be next week. They're always wrong, but yet they're always predicting the future using fear, right, to kind of force us, enslave us to act in a way that whoever's in charge wants us to. So since we are to be blamed for all the things that's going on in the world that is wrong, we need to correct it. We need justice. So therefore, you should, and finish the sentence. You should, at least in climate science, you should get rid of your gas combustion engine cars. You better buy electric cars, which is very, very expensive still. Right? You better not eat meat. You have to start eating bugs now, which is funny because I grew up in South Korea where in the 60s and 70s when we were a third world country, very poor. And we used to eat bugs. Or I think people still do, like larvae, just boiled. And I didn't know what they were. Just really tasty. I don't think I could eat it now, right? But if they force us to eat it, I guess we could. A lot of protein in it, I guess. But, you know what I'm saying? And they kind of force you to act in a way that they want us to. And they use fear for that. So there's a lot of guilt, shame, and fear using science. It doesn't matter what kind of science, they always use it to kind of enslave us to act or to live in a way that they want us to. Now, is there a guarantee of the future gonna get better? No, of course not. Because how many times have they predicted things to get really, really bad by now, and it really hasn't yet, right? Things are getting better in so many ways, but they're always using fear and also shame and guilt to promote whatever it is they want us to. Who benefits from all this thing? Certain not normal people, certain not working people. Somebody's making money out of this. So secular world, since we have to find heroes out there, we just blindly follow anybody who uses science or some kind of justice they want to bring into this world, right or wrong, and we just blindly follow. Blindly follow. We don't listen to anyone else. We just say, okay, I have faith in science, even though science has been wrong all along. Right? But for those of us who believe in God, how are we any different? Right? It seems to me like, I think Alan Watts said this. He said that if you admit your guilt, if you admit your shame, the bigger the guilt you have, the bigger the sinner you are, the better Christian you are. That's what it seems like, right? If you listen to people's testimonies about their faith, a lot of the testimony starts with that. I used to be such a terrible person, right? Terrible, but now I believe in Jesus, and so I repented of all my sins. But of course, we continue to sin, and the more we confess. Now, I know that Pope right now is making a tour around the world, I think, I read, that, and apologizing for the wrongs that the Catholic Church has done in the past. So then, what, we're supposed to applaud that and say, oh, we forgive you for everything and everything is good now. I guess we should, but it seems like the whole idea about being a believer of God is to know that we have fallen short of the glory of God, that we're no good. We're human beings. As long as we're in this flesh, we just, doesn't matter whether we have a pathway to God or not. We just can't follow those, stay in that path. So we're just guilty. We're just wrong, sinful. So I saw a video of this preacher that was in the street talking with the young students at a university. I forget which university it was. and he was being challenged by a secular person, and her point was, why are you calling me a sinner? Why are you calling me that I'm guilty of sin and stuff? I'm a good person, kind of a thing. Why should I go to hell? And his response is, well, we're all sinners. I'm a sinner. I'm no good either. But because I have faith in Jesus Christ, it inspires me to be good, and that's what I want for you. But I'm just like you. I'm a sinner, right? So they always, all the time, even as a Christian, we're always pushing that. You got to remember your sin and ask God for forgiveness every single day. You got to remember your sin because you're no good, right? But what about the future? What about the future? Well, it's not really love that promotes it. It's fear, isn't it? Fear. What does most Christians believe that the future is going to be like? Is it going to be better? Are we going to get along? Will everyone will bow before Jesus Christ and confess him as Lord, and everybody will get along? I don't hear that much. What I heard was, yeah, every knee shall bow, but some of them will bow because they were worshiping Jesus and as they're going to heaven, but others will bow begging Jesus for forgiveness, and when they do that, Jesus is going to look at him and say, I never knew you, and wave goodbye as all these people, majority of the people, just go down the escalator to hell forever and ever and ever, never ending damnation. I mean, if that's not fear, I don't know what is, right? Because who wants to spend an eternity in hell? So you better get yourself right? So in that way, we're all the same. We're all the same. Whether you have God on your side, or you believe in God, or whether you don't, we know we need a Savior. Now, secular world have chosen science and other heroes to follow, and they just blindly follow. Whether it's beneficial for people or not, it doesn't matter. But what it seems to me, like as more people follow science or heroes that they find, it's causing a lot more division. There's a lot of stuff. The war, rumors of war, murders to protest and burning down buildings and burglaries. It just makes people hate another person. But then at the same time, people who believe in God, how are we different? Do we not use guilt? Do we not use fear in the same way? And we look to the future of total damnation, right? Unless you believe in Jesus, then you're going to be raptured. But there are people, Christians, that I have actually met. They look at their newborn baby and cry. Not, of course, out of joy, but at the same time, because, they feel guilty. Feel guilty and saying, I have brought you into this rotten world, and unless you have faith, unless you find faith, then you might not make it to heaven, and they're concerned about that. So guilt, shame, and fear is kind of enslave us to follow, a lot of times blindly, to whoever the leaders are, whoever the teachers are. And these teachers have become our heroes as well. And you notice that when Paul met Jesus Christ, he spent 3 years by himself. He didn't go to Peter. He didn't go to James. He didn't go to Jerusalem to learn about the Bible, about Jesus. He spent 3 years kind of like alone, working things out. And he wrote most of the New Testament from understanding God through what he learned by himself, not following another person. He wanted to follow Jesus Christ. But a lot of times, even within Christianity, there's Catholics and Christians. We have different beliefs. Sometimes we don't get along. And within the Protestant churches, I don't even know how many denominations there are. Over 300 maybe. And we are constantly disagreeing with one another. So we're building dividing walls. So it's not just dividing wall between those who believe and who do not believe, right? There are a bunch of little dividing walls within religious community, and there's a bunch of dividing walls definitely in a secular society. Why? Because we're all the same. Everybody's the same. We're taught to feel guilty about our past. We feel ashamed for what we have done. We want to correct it. We believe in this justice where somebody has to be canceled. Somebody has to. So if I say something as a Christian, explaining my faith in a way that other Christians might not, agree with, they'll definitely cancel me, right? So what's the difference? What's the difference? Everybody is in the need of a savior. Everybody is. So in that sense, everybody's the same. That the way that the world, secular and people who believe, how it's being lived out is the same. That's the world that Jesus came into. What has changed in the last 2,000 years? I don't know. It still seems to be the same. We're still in the need of a savior to knock down the dividing walls instead of creating more. Right? So everybody's the same. So then we'll get to the next point. Second point, real soon. Right? So join me on that video as well. God bless you. Hope this makes sense. God bless you. And I'll see you next time.